Hello there, thanks for watching. I thought I'd start today with a little bit of a confession. So I have been extremely, throughout my life, hit and miss on two really important wellness activities. The first is exercise, and the second is a stillness practice. So with exercise, I understand the benefits of exercise and I like the feeling of being fit. But the reason why exercise is so hard for me is because I don't feel that bad when I stop. So I find myself coming in and out of exercise regimes just because when I'm doing it, I feel the benefit and then I forget for a few days and I don't feel the pain. And as a result, I can fall out of a routine. My husband, on the other hand, has been very, very faithful to exercise almost his entire life. And a lot of that is because he really needs it. He really feels a big difference. And the same thing for me applies to a stillness practice. So I remember going through a period where I wasn't exercising very much, and I went to go see my doctor, who was fabulous, and she started asking me about my exercise regime. And when I explained it to her, I'm active with the kids and I'm doing this, she basically said, that doesn't count. And I said, but the problem is I don't feel like I need exercise right now. And she said, you may not need it, but your body does. And I think that the same thing applies to stillness. We've all kind of accepted that our bodies need exercise and we won't be able to maintain our health well without exercise. And if you're like me, you may not have a very present stillness practice, but the reality is much of the scientific research around stillness practices and mindfulness practices point to the fact that our mind needs stillness. So our bodies need exercise and our minds need stillness. And so my stillness practice had a similar feeling as my exercise practice. When I got myself into a stillness practice, I would feel the benefits. But as soon as I stopped, it wouldn't be bad enough for me to remember to keep going, and then it would fall out of my habit pattern. The way I approach solving both of these problems is to make sure that there's enough in it for me for both activities. As it relates to exercise, what's really important for me when it comes to being consistent about exercise is that the activity is useful and fun. So I'm skiing on the weekends with the whole family, so we're getting family time at the same time. I'm going for a walk with my parents. I'm going for a run with my husband. I'm going to enjoy nature or hiking. For me, the experience of exercise needs to be combined with another activity that has a lot of meaning for me, and that way I do it. And the same with my stillness practice. So I wanted to share with you how I'm finding my stillness practice really useful. So I've discovered that when I combine my stillness practice with reinforce my goals, as well as to help me release any beliefs that are just not useful to me anymore, I've found myself motivated to do it. And I've also found that combination to be incredibly powerful of taking a look at beliefs that we're struggling with during a time when our mind is quite restful. So whenever we have a new goal in mind, there are likely changes that are required to create that goal. And what can happen as you've defined this new goal is you start to run up against beliefs and thinking patterns that you've acquired in the past that are really a lot less useful to your new goal. And some of these you'll discover and they will fall away quite quickly. For instance, perhaps you're in a role where you always had to avoid risk, and now you've been put into an innovation role where you're having to stimulate risk, figure out where are the areas where we can take some chances. So you'll see that whatever thinking habits you developed when you were the chief risk officer, as an example, is now different when you're chief innovative officer. And some of them you'll just look at very rationally and you'll laugh at the habits that you've discovered. You'll realize that they're limiting you in the new goal that you have. As soon as you're consciously aware with them, you'll be able to catch yourself doing it and you'll be able to release them. But there may be other beliefs that are just more hardwired, more difficult for you to shed. And this is where I found that with those types of beliefs, to have the hard discussions with my mind when I'm in the midst of a stillness practice. So let me just give you a very concrete example. I spent 20 years of my life working in large corporations, some of the largest enterprises on the globe. And when I decided to start my own company, I was very, very excited and things were going really well, but I kept feeling this risk, the variability of certain things really getting in my way, like the variability of the revenue stream. You just get into into the habit of a paycheck every 2 weeks. Now, even though I was making a very good living and receiving checks for my services, it was lumpier, and that was triggering a little bit of worry inside of me. And what I discovered is that there's a belief system that had been built up that running your own company is risky and unstable. And I don't really know where this belief comes from. I certainly know that it's been reinforced definitely over the years, as the career choices that I made were always with large corporations. But I do find that when I went to go change this belief, when I tried to change this, it was much harder to change than other beliefs that just could have easily flown away. And for those types of beliefs, my stillness practice is for me to, number one, calm my brain down. So just take the time it takes with sound therapies for me to calm my brain down. And number two, thank my brain for this belief that has been useful to me in the past, and encourage my brain in that relaxed state to release that thought and begin to put in the new beliefs that are much more empowering and give me a lot more energy. And so what I would encourage you to do is think about your stillness practice, and think about your brain needing that stillness practice, and think about the method for you to have some incentive in bolstering your achievement of your goals. So that's the tip for this week. Hope you have a great week. Thanks for watching. Take care.